Hey, ladies and germs, Travis here again, and I recently did a video on female voices for male audiobook narrators, and it got me thinking that it's probably worth taking the time to do a quick video on deeper voices for pretty much everybody, and talk about that from a technical perspective as far as audiobook narration goes, and just general VO acting. There's some really counterintuitive elements to it that I don't think are initially obvious when you're attempting this kind of character voice. Now, I've cast and directed a significant amount of game VO, and one of the things that I often run into that is a kind of an immediate pass is when people are attempting to do deep voices that are not their standard vocal range, and they're pushing too hard, and you can really feel that strain, and they're just unable to act transparently through that. And I think that's a really common problem, a really consistent problem, and I think that hopefully this would be helpful for folks who are running into that kind of issue when attempting to do deeper voiced characters. Because we all know, like, in a certain percentage of the books that you narrate, probably half of the people, for some reason, have a deep, gravelly voice, or it sounds like it's coming out of a well. A lot of them, an awful lot of them, sometimes 50% of them. So it's actually a really useful skill to develop. Anyway, let's roll into it. So this is not going to be as long as the last video I did because there's kind of less to it, but there's a big counterintuitive element when you approach doing deeper voices, which is that you don't want to project more. I think the initial thought that many people have when they try and do a deeper voice is that it needs to be bigger and heavier and that they're going to project more. So as a result, they strain in order to achieve that. And you don't want to strain. You actually want to do the opposite of that. So a lot of times, I'll get auditions that have come across, and you can really tell that they're just trying to strain for that lower voice. And it sounds, frankly, not good because you simply can't act transparently through it. You can tell as a listener that they're at the borderline of their capability. It's very stiff. It's kind of calcified. And it's not a particularly usable character voice because it becomes pretty one-note and monotone. And moreover, it's just not very good for you as a voice actor. It doesn't feel good. It's not good for your throat. Don't do that. You have a unique advantage being in a booth with a microphone, which is that you can control your proximity to the microphone and your volume. You know when you get up in the morning and your voice is lower? It's not because you were tensing your vocal cords. It's because they were relaxed. So that's really what we want to do. You're actually doing what amounts to a really heavy whisper. So I'll give you kind of an example. I'm just talking in my normal voice, and what I do when I am voicing deeper characters is I'm going to approach the mic, and I'm actually going to drop my voice. I'm going to drop the resonance. If you watched my previous video, you've got kind of a point where your voice sits. Mine's right about here, and I'm going to be dropping it down into my chest so that it resonates lower down. But also at the same time, I'm going to be relaxing and kind of hunching forward a little bit. There's kind of a little bit of a fold that happens. You can kind of even hear it as I go like this. Do you see how my voice deepens when I do this? I'm rolling down, and it's forcing that resonance down into my chest. I think you can hear it right now, right? Well, let's use that to our advantage. So, as we do this, and we drop the resonance into our chest, and we get more whispery, it's almost, you can actually hear it in the vocal fry, right? Which is actually useful for a lot of deeper voices anyway, especially when they want something gravelly. And you can push this relatively far down. You're starting to head down into Peter Cullen territory. Autobots assemble and roll out. And as we do this, we approach the mic so that we're rolling back on how much breath we're ejecting. We're loosening this tension. You can kind of feel it down here kind of spreading out. We're going to loosen that tension. We're going to approach to make up for the drop in volume as we become more breathy. And happily, we also, at the same time, get to take advantage of the proximity effect of our microphone, which makes you sound more resonant. So, deeper characters, approach that mic. Drop your voice. Relax. Down here. Now, there's another component to this, which is the shape of your mouth. Now, your default mouth shape is going to be relatively round within, depending on how you hold your jaw, but really we want to loosen up our oral posture. Imagine somebody's given you a hot bite of food and you don't want it to touch any side of your mouth. We actually want to expand the cavern of our mouth. We want to kind of flex our cheeks outward, making this larger area inside. But at the same time, you want to tense your lips against your teeth, having very tight control. Very tight control. And this allows us to gather a more cavernous sound, while also dropping our voice and still having the range to go up and down. We can sing, if we do this, Mary had a little lamb. This is actually kind of a nice little thing to bear in mind when you're working on voices that are at the furthest extents of your vocal range. If you can't sing or tell a joke, then you can't act. So you have to be able to have that musicality inherent in your voice, or you're not going to be able to do justice to the character that you're evoking. So being able to go up and down. Now, conversely, look, if I'm tensing my throat, and usually when people do this to deepen their voice, it feels like it's right around in here. We're really tensing our throat in here. I can't sing because everything is too constrained to do much beyond some kind of rough changes in pitch. It's not very fluid. It doesn't sound very human, and it's not really pleasant to listen to. But again, with this relaxation, you still have the full control of your vocal cords to be able to, constrain them to make the sounds that you need to make fluidly so that you can act relatively fluidly while still having a considerably deeper voice. Now, obviously, there isn't just one kind of deep voice, but this is just to get you to kind of a baseline so you can start thinking about getting up there on the mic, avoiding that instinct to overproject, and as a result, tense up your vocal cords and really keep your voice far, far down in your chest. Let it resonate down here. It should feel, this is actually very relaxing to do. It's not hard. And again, I mentioned the vocal fry earlier. You can use that to your advantage especially when people want gravelly voices, because it allows you to add that grit to the voice without straining to add it. What happens is, as we're very, very relaxed, and we allow the breath to continue past the initial point where we are tensing our equipment to generate the vocal noises that we are making, you let it kind of ride off. And it just gives kind of this larger presence to the voice that you're doing. Anyway, hopefully that's kind of useful to you. And hopefully maybe it saves you some throat pain. Keep at it. Keep reading. Talk to you later.